Crazy things people saw at parties. Story 1. Guy starts hooking up with a girl. He asks his roommate for condoms. The guy's about to lose his virginity to this girl. Everyone's happy for him. He goes into a room and starts going at it. One of his friends busts open the door and asks the girl if she wants a third. First guy's screaming no. Girl says yes. So this guy's first time he's having to share with another guy. At some point, a third guy enters. The entire party stops and everyone's just watching these guys rail this girl. Eventually, the first guy drops out and just sits down and watches while the other two guys bang the first girl he's ever had hanky-punky with. Felt bad for him. Edit. A bunch of people mentioned green text and hop and snake. I don't know what any of you were talking about until Yelsloo135 linked me. I'm actually going to check with the person in my story to see if that's his post. We'll update. Edit 2. Nope, that's not him. They're talking about in that thread too. Apparently I posted this before him and the guy copy-pasted to 4chan. From 4chan? I don't know what green text is, so I'm not sure what direction that's going in. Story 2. Saw a guy snorting coke on a dorm room floor. Someone said something funny and he laughed, spraying a cloud of coke. He started licking the carpet. Edit. This was in the 80s and he was using a small mirror. That said, I also know some of what happened on that carpet and I wouldn't have walked on it barefoot. Story 3. So land sharks are pretty common. You carry a naked person through a party with a frisbee clenched between their cheeks. Normal. Except one time one of my friends was on the fence, a sort of do I or do I not dangle my dong throughout the whole throng kind of thing. So his condition was that the 4 people carrying him, 1 per limb, also had to be naked. And so 4 naked people carrying another naked person with a frisbee in their butt through a party was probably the craziest, or close enough. Edit. People seem a little baffled by my partially tongue-in-cheek use of common and normal. You see, my freshman year of college, upperclassmen managed to convince the freshmen that it was, in fact, common and normal. We believed them, which in turn made it pretty common and pretty normal. If being normal means getting carried around with a frisbee between my cheeks, well then, baby, I want to be weird. Though, does that mean I would just not do that, or that I would do something way wilder? Ooh boy. Story 4. My buddy was throwing a New Year's party and it was pretty wild. Some people didn't really know where their friends of friends, that sort of thing. A dude and a girl he didn't know went into his bedroom and locked the door. He was not having it. He bangs on the door and the guy yells, "Frick off." My buddy's a pretty mild-mannered guy, but without a second hesitation, he takes a step back and kicks the door right open. We pulled them out and walked them out the front door. He replaced the door frame the next day. Edit. For the people asking why he didn't just unlock the door, I honestly can't remember if it was possible to unlock from the outside, but my buddy definitely has a bit of a door-kicking fetish. Once I saw him accidentally close his locked front door behind him with the keys in the house still. He realized immediately, turned on his heel, and kicked the bee in. He already had someone out to unlock it after doing the same thing a week before and didn't feel like waiting, lol. Story 5. Back in high school, we went to a junior house party as seniors. There was a junior football player who was hitting on one of the senior football player's girlfriends while he was out back in the pool. When the senior kid came back, his girlfriend told him what had happened. Everyone overheard and started yelling, "Fight! Fight!" The junior kid heard all the commotion and came running over to see what happened, and all the people at the party pushed him into the center of the group and made a classic fight circle around him. He started crying instantly when he saw the senior boy and his girlfriend walk up and get on his knees and started kissing the senior kid's feet. Everyone stopped yelling and fighting. The entire house went silent as everyone was confused as to just what the heck just took place. I couldn't tell you what went through the senior kid's head, but he started laughing and walked away and everyone had a what the F look on their face and then went back to the party like nothing ever happened. I mean, did the junior know the girl was with someone? Because if not, then why fight? Like, oh hey, no, her and I are dating. It's okay, dude. No need for feet smooches. Unless, hon, you into this? Yeah? Well then, let's take this to the bedroom. Story 6. Arrived late to a high school party. Walk up the driveway to a chair being thrown out an upper floor window. Walk into a split entry. Dudes are upstairs holding potted plants, dropping them onto the heads of anyone going downstairs. Girls whose parents owned the house passed out. I go up and my friends hand me a beer, don't even get a sip before cops are everywhere. Ran out back, buddy hid the beer in a pile of firewood. Walk around front, cop checks me out but I am sober and had no booze on me. I drove my buddy's car, we went for pancakes. After we ate, we went back to get the beer. Someone had taken an axe and cut the deck off of the house. We found our beer and hauled butt. Monday morning, there was a huge investigation into who was at the party trying to figure out who did the damage. 1990 was a simpler time. Story 7. Half the partygoers gathered on the roof ceremonially destroying a 4-foot-tall statue/chandelier thing. They threw it off the roof and then everyone in the backyard either took a piece to commemorate the event or further destroyed the pieces of the statue. At another party, some guy set off a firework in an empty beer bottle and held it while it went off. Blood and glass everywhere. From what I heard, the guy was found an hour later passed out in the front yard clutching his hand. Edit. There was another time at a house where about 50 people ended up huddling in the basement in silence for 20 minutes because a neighbor had called in a noise complaint and the cops showed up. Half the partygoers left after, but the band went back on, and all in all, it was a fun time. I am just imagining 50 drunk teenagers huddling together in a basement, and the smell of that thought almost made me gag. No offense, we've all been stinky teens. Story 8. Someone I know spent 2 hours trying to put a pumpkin in someone's mailbox. He wasn't just pushing it in, he started punching it. Couldn't believe the stamina of that person. It sounds boring compared to the stories here, but it was one of the funniest things I've ever watched. Of course, everyone spent the first 25 minutes trying to get him to stop, but after we gave up and just watched, it became hilarious. Story 9. I was once at a big indoor techno concert in Spain. Imagine this place was packed, good vibes, people dancing and having a good time. We're having a good time too. Suddenly, we all felt small drops of liquid on our legs. We stopped to look around and we saw this drugged up dude peeing all over the dance floor. And behold, an hour later, we see the same dude from a distance being dragged out while lying on the floor doing the same thing again. I swear, people do the most fricked up things under the influence. Story 10. We went to a party that got way out of hand and too many people showed up. I go into my living room and a girl is on the couch petting a dog. I ask, whose dog is this? She says, the people who live here. I reply, I live here. This isn't our dog. A stray dog had been walking by and noticed a party happening and just walked inside and got on the couch and was being pet all night by drunk people. That's an amazing party, and if you were even remotely smart, you wouldn't have said, I live here, this isn't our dog. You would have said, ooh, I have a dog now, yay! Story 11. This was ridiculous, but honestly, ridiculously cool. This dude showed up to a big house party of like 125 of us with his service dog. Not just any service dog, though. A giant butt Great Dane with a makeshift army pack thrown over him that carried beers around for people at the party. He brought me a beer or two. What a good dog. Definitely watched my friend feed the dog at least 5 hamburger patties at the end of the night in our drunken haze. As the owner of a Great Dane, I can confirm they are absolutely amazing. I can also confirm that they have notoriously sensitive tummies, so you and your friends may have delighted that Dane's taste buds, but you may have also given him some pretty gnarly diarrhea. Story 12. A totally uninterested guy sitting on a chair, reading a paper and drinking a can of beer while a very drunk couple were having hanky-panky in a bed a few feet away from him. He kept trying to talk to them about funny stuff he was reading, and they kept shouting at him to frick off. As you can only imagine, I only saw a few seconds of this and heard more about it later. Story 13. I was sitting on the roof and a guy said he wanted to dive through the window to get back into the house so he would look like James Bond. He ran to the window and dove, right into a closed window. Cut his arm pretty badly and he just said, oh poop, I thought it was open. I should stop doing cocaine. Story 14. Invited to a party by a furry. We did know that she was a furry. We didn't know that it was a party for furries. We get there and there's a guy getting a tail butt plug put into his butt in the middle of the floor, inches from people who aren't paying attention to it at all. Those people were playing Magic the Gathering. The people in the backyard were playing with the high-power laser identifying stars. We didn't stay long. I will say, I'm not personally a furry, but I have friends who are. And I've been to furry parties, and let me tell you, furries throw some fun parties. Really wonderful groups in my experience, though I've yet to take part in the butt plugs. Please like and subscribe if you've made it this far. I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video and have a wonderful day. Story 15. I remember someone heard some cops at the front door and decided to jump out the window leading to the backyard to get away. Probably should have made sure the window was open first. from what was to be just a noise complaint turned into an ER bill and paid for a new window. Story 16. Shortly after arriving at a party, the sensitive guy with the acoustic guitar shows up. 15 minutes later, someone took the guitar and smashed him over the head with it, creating a large gash that bled profusely. The attacker then proceeded to run off into the night with the guitar and was never apprehended. It wasn't a good night for the musician. Violence like that is never okay, and I absolutely don't approve of it. But also, bringing a guitar like that to a party is never okay, and I absolutely don't approve of it. Story 17. I was at a house party where this guy called Nate was sleeping on a carpet. Eventually, he somewhat woke up, said, "Name, Nate. Code name, unknown." Puked on the carpet and lied back down, straight into his vomit. He then fell asleep again. Story 18. A drunk guy in a full gorilla costume sitting on a couch outside sees a drunk guy in a full banana costume riding by on rollerblades. They both immediately stop and turn towards each other, and without a single word spoken, charge full speed at each other and begin wrestling. About a minute later, both get up winded, and the banana guy rolls off into the sunset, never to be seen again. Story 19. Some jackbutt did 14 Jell-O shots in the span of an hour, thinking they weren't all that strong. Then, that jackbutt decided to puke in the kitchen sink and all over the front porch. The vomit was this nasty, congealed mix of vodka, Jell-O, and beer. Then, that jackbutt left the party and walked home with only one shoe, no phone, and missing his driver's license. That jackbutt was me. "No, I must stop the jackbutt." The radio said, "No, John, you are the jackbutt." And then John walked home. Story 20. I've seen someone uninstall the sink of a bathroom at a house party back in high school. They brought their own tools and took the time doing so. Edit. I know a video of the party exists. If I find it, I'll post it for you fine people. Story 21. Big house party many years ago, and we noticed a guy going through the fridge. As we're watching him from across the room, he grabbed a full bottle of Italian dressing and chugged the whole thing. He walked out like it was completely normal behavior. Maybe for a nice sesame ginger dressing, but Italian? That's just weird. Story 22. I thought butt chugging was a joke from some frat bro movie I'd never seen. Nope. People do it. Voluntarily. Who aren't pledges or rookies or in any way being hazed. Story 23. Someone was pouring wash soap on the floor in front of the back door. Sick dude sat on a lazy boy sipping margaritas and watching people slip and fall. Story 24. Some dude thought it was okay to throw up on my best friend's cat during the party. Cat was actually kind of cool with it, but my friend wasn't. That cat knows how to get crazy. Story 25. I went with my girlfriend and her friends to what was later revealed to me as a gay frat house. My girlfriend went to the bathroom for a while and a bunch of dudes hit on me. I felt special. Nice guys. Story 26. Girl masturbating with a beer bottle on the host's little sister's bed. Story 27. Friend had a party in high school and walked in on a guy pulling his pants up quickly after clearly attempting to poop in his cat's litter box. Look, you're at a party. There are too many people. A line for the bathroom. You ate way too much pizza and forgot your Lactate at home. I'm just saying the litter box exists for that very purpose. Story 28. Kids smoking a catnip joint. The house owner was also selling rolls of toilet paper to the guests if they had to use the bathroom. Story 29. You've heard of strip poker. We were playing strip Red Rover. We were all in our 30s, sent one poor girl to the hospital with a busted knee. Story 30. Probably the girl with the 4-year-old son who still breastfed him. She said she could squirt milk across the room, then proceeded to show us. I will forever know her as Lactating Tracy. We were all having a good time talking about pooping in cat boxes and smoking catnip and throwing up on cats, and then you bring this kind of weirdness in here? You aren't welcome at this party. Story 31. Walked into my bathroom to find my friend, who was a dwarf, blowing his load on the birthday girl's face. He had a bigger pee-pee than I expected. Story 32. 3 guys tag-teaming a 40-year-old overweight woman who was married with children, and she was the manager at the local Domino's. Can't leave out that last part. Domino's, you've been put on blast. This thread has me in a weird mood. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm losing it. Story 33. This one redhead girl would always take too many shots and wind up stripping down naked and freaking somebody on their car outside. Every time. Story 34. One of my friends pulled down his pants, slipped a condom on, and just started taking a walk in the living room. Story 35. I've told this story before, but when I was in college, I was in a fraternity. At some point, we started partying with some international students because we met some of them at a campus event. 90% of them were Brazilian. So I was one of the sober bros watching the door talking with one of these Brazilian guys, and a chick came up the stairs, and without even saying anything, she grabbed his hand and dragged him into our little coat/supply closet next to the door. About 10 minutes and some uncomfortable sounds later, they both came out, and she gives me a wink. She continued downstairs, and the guy and I resumed talking. Not even 5 minutes later, a completely different chick comes up and does the exact same thing to this guy. I thought this was hilarious, but I was also slightly jealous of this guy's apparent affinity with women. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.